Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would get another video out. I started yet another project, and this one is to get the Perses Carrier up to Alpha 10 and do some tweaking on it in the process. So this is the original Perses Carrier, and this is what kind of take a look at how this is looking going down the center here. I really try to go for a more traditional ship look, like a military ship, destroyer kind of thing, but with a carrier. So something that probably doesn't exist in the real world, especially with thrusters. But this was my most popular ship ever made. So since I wanted to start to get some things moved to newer versions of the game and get them updated, I figured I would start with this one. And I like this ship. This is definitely one of my most favorite ships that I've made to date. And but to get this to Alpha 10 or even Alpha 9 standards, I was looking at the hurdles I'm going to have to go through. And one of those big things is the CPU. If you notice on this ship, how it sits stock has 13,560 CPU. So it's over by a fair amount. Not a excessive amount, but a lot of things that are hogging up CPU on this are the 32 RCS and 38 fuel tanks. That chews up CPU a lot. Of course, the thrusters, this thing is running 8 T1 generators. So, what I first did on this, and this is far from complete yet, is I blew away the complete thruster housing back here and I put in a new one. This is the new design, untextured of course, but the main reason for doing that was to use a different type of thruster so I could use less of them and actually get more power out of it. So this one was using all your 2x2x4 thrusters. This one is using the big ones. So rather than 4 going in one direction, it's got 2 going in one direction. And this actually is more powerful than what that is by a fair margin. Rather than 2 up front, it's got 1 here. Now another thing I did with this carrier is I had these little thrusters mounted in these front feet thing. And that's just kind of a waste. So all those are gone on the new one. And I'm going to probably redesign this part some. So beyond the thrusters, well, here's another thing. Already, I'm at 3280 CPU, and if you look at the stats, it's faster. I mean, it went from 20 to 47 in the different directions, and I'm running 94 now on, forward thrust. However, now, something else has changed too, and I find this crazy. If you look at the pitch and yaw and roll on the original Perses Carrier as it sits now with 32 RCS, it is insane. 144 on pitch, 121 on yaw. Wow, they changed something big time with the RCS. In the new version here, it has only 2 RCS, and it's still insane. I mean, I cannot get SVs to fly like this, but it's a piece of cake with 2 RCS and a Class 8, well, currently Class 8 capital ship. So something changed big time there. And honestly, this is still too quick. I mean, this flies unrealistically. So what do I go to 1 RCS? I don't know. It just seems so limiting, It's granted, I wish the SV and HV RCS would follow these kind of rules too. It'd be a whole lot easier. And maybe they do. I got to check that out. Maybe something changed with that too. I do not know yet. So I wanted to show you another thing. And if you look at the side profile of this particular ship, it's pretty smooth down the edges here. You kind of look there. There's not much dragging out or anything like that. This is kind of blocky, I guess you could say, this front area. So moving on to what I've done so far, is I rebuilt this section here, and it follows the same profile as the original one, though. If you look across over there, it's got the same places where the humps are and things like that. It's just I'm using a lot of newer blocks, little bitty trim blocks along the side here, some roundish stuff, this weird roundy entry point, things like that. I also kind of changed some blocks around here using some more new blocks. But what I really like what I did is, if you look at the side profile here, you've got all kinds of little fine details and extensions and things sticking out all over the place now. Here, let me get it in better light. And I like that. This is starting to look much more authentic and realistic, because you're just seeing so much, you know, shape changes and things like that, but it's sticking with the exact same look and profile that it had before. It's just more detailed and more refined, I guess you could say. So that is the goal with this ship. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm not building a ship that's going to be unique to the original Perses. It's just getting updated and detailed and tweaked with all the new stuff. Now, one bonus on this ship is, one of the first things I did is well, of course, I cut the storage for now. I got to re-add that in using newer storage methods. But if you head up to the engineering area, I originally had 8 T1 generators in here. I gutted all of those and I put in one T2 generator. Yeah, no problems with power at all, and that is a big CPU savings. Now, I deleted a whole bunch of fuel tanks in this thing, and I'm going to probably put some back. Right now it only has 6. But one other bonus is this engineering room. I already had a fair amount of space in it, and a lot of it was just filled with fluffy things and whatnot. But I have a nice 3x3 area easily on one of these sides here to add in a shield generator. So that's going to be very easy to do, and I'm not going to have to make any major modifications to this. It's actually going to be a little cleaner in here. So, yeah. Now, another thing I was doing too is, diving underground and being a mole. Now, I was screwing around with blocks, and this is nothing here. I was just kind of messing with all these new blocks and looking at these different shapes and how can you put them together to make unusual things. So this is all part of my block research, and got some unusual things going on here. I thought this was strange. Almost looks like we're in Minecraft, but these are actually little half blocks. That almost makes it look like we're on a different scale. Kind of interesting there. And these new interior wall parts and things like that, that's kind of neat. The only thing I was a little disappointed on, and to me it seems like it would be very, very cool if they separated parts of these. Like, for instance, if these things took one texture in the background and the back wall area took a different texture. But that's not how they work. So if you touch one part of this, it colors the whole thing. Not the end of the world, but it could be very cool if this was like a separate UV and then the wall behind it was a separate UV. And if they really wanted to take it a step further, make that slice a separate UV, so you could texture and color all these parts differently. That would really enhance some detail. However, glad to have these blocks. Very cool. I think they're missing a couple things, though. I'll show you that real quick. If we hop into the block menu, under here, they added these. And these are pretty cool, and I can find a lot of practical uses for these double wedge thin blocks. Problem is they have like this size, this size, this size, but the only ones they have running across are full size. So you can go up to this and then run these like some kind of beam structure, but they don't have this version for this size or this size. That would be something I would definitely like to see put in. It kind of screwed me up a little bit because I was trying to make some nice little strip beams, but I couldn't. I had to fill them in with like full-size blocks instead. But yeah, look at these weird curves. I mean, this is like a half curve going into this little curvy thing over here, and a different curve over here, and it's like, wow. I tell you what, you got so many possibilities of stuff you could build now. It's just ridiculous, and that's cool, and that is very cool. Here I wanted to take a little break eventually, and they do this. Rough stuff. So that's where I'm at on the Perses. It's coming along nicely. I only put in about three hours into this so far. Well, probably about 4 hours. It took a little while to make new thruster assemblies. And my only regret on the thruster assembly is the fact that the older ones were a little squarer, and they went out another block here, and it's got that nice little curve, where the new ones are a little taller and skinnier. And that was a lot to do with the thrusters I was running. But I keep on thinking whether or not I shouldn't take this and angle it out another block and go across here and extend it out so it's got closer to the same shape as the original thruster housing. And that's up for debate yet. I didn't do it because I didn't need it, and it's kind of a waste of blocks. It really is, especially if I'm really trying to keep this tight with cost and size class. Now, another thing I did, all this little trim stuff on the edges here, like all these little blocks and things you see along here, this is all carbon substrate. Under this all is combat armor. So it's got the same protection pretty much as the original one. It's just I'm trying to keep the cost down and use carbon substrate for little trim things like this. And same idea over here, all these little parts here and whatnot, these are carbon substrate. But it didn't affect the main hull at all. I mean, I could make these all combat armor, but it's going to make it more pricey. And in a lot of these places, it's not really protecting anything anyway. It's just there. I also changed the cockpit or the bridge here a little bit too. I kind of extended these blocks out along the edges some more. The original one was just kind of the nose was just right out there, and I'm just trying to deal with that. But I kept the glass pretty much the same and everything else. So visually walking around, it's going to be like the original. It's just hopefully going to look a lot better and probably be more fuel efficient. And it might even be cheaper due to the fact I'm running so much less thrusters and generators now, replacing them with bigger, more expensive ones. But I think the cost ratio is better. So on another note, yes, I still got this. I still want to work on this too. And this is going to be an A10. So I'm going to hold this back a little bit so I can get in some new blocks and do some more messing with it. It still doesn't have an interior, and I keep on getting sidetracked with all these other projects. I know, I'm bad that way. This one I am looking forward to, though. This, for its size, and it's considerably smaller than the Perses. It's got a lot of guns, a lot of firepower, and it's very efficient on its power system. So this one's only running 2 big generators in back and 1 front thrust, which is more than enough, honestly. I mean, that's a lot of power right there, and only 1 each side thrust. So this thing has loads of CPU in reserve, despite having all these guns on it already. And so I'm excited about that. I'll be able to get some real storage in it and things like that. The Perses, I do want to get some good storage in it too, and that's why I'm trying to fight the CPU so much, so I can free up that, so I can reutilize that CPU to get in storage systems. Now, another thing on the space station, there's a lot of great comments. You know, should I release this for Alpha 10 or Alpha 9, or do a revision of it for Alpha 10 when that comes out? And I think that's my plan. I think I'm going to release this as Alpha 9 for now, and then do a a little update for Alpha 10. My big problem with this station, well, one thing I did forget to do too, and that's no big deal because I think I'm going to just add it in right down over here, is I forgot to put in the smaller medical equipment, like you know, if you break your leg or whatnot. There's 4 pieces, and I think I'm just going to tuck them in somewhere down in this area so they're right there and convenient. So that's not a big deal. The big deal I've got is these new shield generators. And here, let me get one a second here. And I don't think it really matters if you put in like a T1 or a T2. I think they're the same size either way. And it says something that you can only have this one if you upgrade the other one. So if you just put in a T2 by default, does that work? I don't know yet. But here, let's grab one of these. So this is a 3x3 item. And I need to fit this in the base somewhere, and I don't have any places that I can find to put it. And of course, I would like to kind of keep it visible too. So this is rough. I got to work out something. Now I know I'm wasting space with these crew rooms, and if I were to demolish a couple of them, I could easily have room to pop in one of these generators. I didn't really want to though. I mean, they're all done and they work, and the layouts are what they are. So that is my big debate, is where am I going to shove one of these and make it look like it should be there. Now I have another thought too, and I might run with this, is up in this top room here where I stuck a spare generator. This actually has the space I need. It's a 3x3 area. These blocks are just fake. So I could dump it here. This doesn't need to be here. I could put in a backup generator somewhere else as well, and it's not that big. And this technically doesn't need to be here either. So I think that's my solution, and I'll have to cut the center beam out to do that and make it look like it's hanging from the shield generator. It should work though, I think. Or maybe I'll try to, I could even add a floor here and conceal it. I was just trying to keep this beam as long as I could, basically for visual effects of going up and down the elevator, seeing this big long beam from top to bottom. I thought was kind of a neat thing. But other than that, I'm thinking I'm going to release this probably Saturday, after I make my modifications to it, and just do another quick run through and make sure there's no more blunders and texture problems or things like that. But I know there's a couple. I know there's a couple little issues like that. So I'll probably just go on foot and take a walk through from each room, give it a good look over, see, maybe replace a couple textures here and there, add in a couple vents or something, give it a little more detail in places, and then I'll get that out the door. So that's my current projects that I'm working on. The mech, that I probably ought to release too. I basically just wanted to texture up the interior, and other than that, it's pretty much ready. And that's, I'm going to keep it more as a prop. I haven't decided quite what to do with the guns. I screwed around slightly with replacing the real guns with fake looking things, and well, gosh darn it, they look dumb. So I didn't like it. But if you release it with real guns, you're adding real cost to the price for a mostly non-functional decoration item, and I don't like that either. So that's another one of those debates. But this is the first of the ships that I wanted to start revamping, and I've got a lot of other stuff I would like to get to too. There's a lot of older stuff that was made in, God, anywhere from Alpha 6 to Alpha 8 range, that all could stand a refit, I guess you could say. Now, the last debate on this one is, should I color this? I love it in the gray. It's got that military look. It's what I was shooting for in the first place on this ship, so I may just not color it like my newer ships. If I put the Perses in this scheme, it will change the appearance of it quite a bit, and it's going to lose that look that it always had. But I was thinking about potentially lightening up the shade of flat gray a little bit and make a couple very small alternatives to offset it, like maybe as an example, say I go here and we copy the default gray, or tell you what, I'm just gonna raise it up just ever so slightly, and then we're gonna copy it. What I'm gonna do is just see, take this down. We're at 0.45. Let's go to like 0.43. I mean, this is so close. You couldn't normally tell the difference, but if I were to texture certain panels that way, you get a little bit of like a difference in metal, I guess. Like this is a slightly different metal than the other. It's very, very subtle, but these little subtle differences like that, I think, could enhance the look of it a little more. I could go do the same thing again, copy this, make a version that is just ever so lighter, and just pick some random parts to change on that too. And this is a way to force like a smooth seam line, even though when the texture lines go all stupid, I could always change the color a little bit. So something like that I might do, but I think it's going to stay gray. Of course, I don't use pure black anymore. That's a kind of a thing of the past. I never liked the look of straight black. It's too much. It looks unrealistic, and here. I get so sidetracked. I'm like talking about something and I switch topics. And sorry about my little blunders on the last videos too. I realized that I was like, hey, I was talking about the space station the other day, and I was like, hey, this is a great place you can land your SVs, or I said CVs on the top landing deck, and I'm like, I caught it later, of course, after the fact. But I guess I just wing these videos, and I haven't really scripted them out or anything like that. But I'll probably use a tone like this instead of the black, maybe, and it still appears to be black, but it doesn't have that unrealistic tone to it. So I'll have to find a color for that. So this is going to be using a slightly different colored palette than my newer stuff, and it's not going to have a lot of color on the exterior at all. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you today. If you guys are interested in actually having me put some videos of the actual work I'm doing on these, a lot of it's slow and it's time consuming, and uploading the videos takes a while, and I know myself, I don't like to watch boring videos. I try to keep them a little more to the point. But if you'd actually like to see little parts of things that I do on these, I could easily put out a video just kind of showing you, all the little intricate stuff that I'm looking at and changing and whatnot. Oh, and take a look at this block. This was found in the new wall set, and that's yeah, that's cool. I don't even know. I don't know why it's there. I was just, the whole point of the side of the ship and this whole ship is trying to make it look kind of busy with parts and technical stuff, and that works out pretty good. So I'm discovering new tricks all the time with these blocks, and that's going to be ongoing for a while, because I've got very familiar with the existing blocks, building so much stuff, but oh my gosh, there's a lot of possibilities now. So that'll wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you got any suggestions, comments, anything about either the space station or refitting this particular ship, please let me know. I do read all these, and I take a look and I kind of evaluate everything. And speaking of the space station, there was something about the solar panels being at the angle they are, and the problem I have is neither setup, the helix orbital, here, let me spawn one of those real quick. I'm getting so much crap in my list here. I gotta clean this out someday. The helix orbital, oh, come on, spot. There you go. I did the solar panels the other way. This works great, you know, of course, if you're on land, but when you go up in space, you have a very similar problem to what you do with this base. It's like the same thing. Like the sunlight's out over here. This will get a little bit of sun if it's not angled specifically, but not enough and not optimal. So you still have to break out, hop in a jetpack, and angle this differently. And I had a lot of comments on the forums saying that this didn't work well, and I should do something like this. So that's what I did on this one. But now this one has the same problem too, where it has to be angled up at the sun because the sun's coming in at like this weird angle like over there. And literally the only thing I could do possibly to make the solar panels work in that scenario, and that's just this creative world. You know, what if you go to a different planet? Is the sun positioned in the same place? The only thing I could really do is like lay angled solar panels across the front of this thing, or up there, or something like that. And yeah, it's rough. I don't exactly know how to, or if I can possibly ever make that work nicely so you can keep these things not tilted at a funky angle in space. Now, it doesn't really matter in space when you're in survival, when you're, you know, using your jetpack and not in God mode. You can't tell what's up or down anyway. It really doesn't make a difference. But, you know, of course, it would be nice to just spawn at level. But I don't think there's any way I can make that work. Not with this design anymore, at least. So, as in taking this whole solar array and putting it somewhere else, a lot of work, and I don't think it's going to benefit from it. I think it's then going to have the same problem the other space station had. And this one, you notice how I put them right out in front, too. I mean, like, hey, it's right there. And it works awesomely where it sits currently, but here, if I shoot out into space, here, I'll spawn it one more time. So we're just out in space, and we're default positioning. Oh, wait. And look at this. They don't work at all. No, well, no, I take that back. They are getting some sunlight. Where's the sun? Sun's up here. So it's coming down on this angle. I guess it is working out pretty good right now on this planet. But that's the thing. I'm going to have to fire up a survival game and tour to different planets. And I want to see if this position changes from planet to planet. If it does, there's no way to combat that. I think you're going to have to angle these things. And this isn't even angled optimally. If it was perfect, you should get the 4 green bars here. But the other station, now here, I'm going to break out of God mode, get into jetpack. Oh, wait. Whoa! Come on, turn on jetpack. What's going on? I've lost my mind. Alright. Come on, I said get out of God mode, right? Yeah, it's disabled. So jetpack, there we go. Ah! I'm just being stupid is all. I can't seem to hit a key or something. So like this one, I'm going to aim this directly at the sun being right there. Bam. This is so slow in comparison, I tell you. But now this works great. Or doesn't it? Huh. Look at that. I'm only getting 3 bars here. And I know these are getting total sunlight. So maybe that's just what space does now. Kind of sucks. I mean, there's just literally nothing blocking these solar panels from direct sunlight. I don't know. But that's kind of the situation. So I'm going to probably leave it how it is and not alter the solar array. My big my big problem is finding a home for a shield generator. And I might do some modifications somewhere, maybe bulge it out. I was thinking I could probably bulge it out maybe over in here and build out a little room to stick a shield generator or something like that. All right, well, y'all have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got any comments or suggestions about anything that I'm working on currently, please let me know. All right, see you later.